Good evening, Kitty Coo. Kitty Coo missed yesterday because she took a little mini vacation. Totally acceptable. Now, a half hour zip line, that sounds like fun. I've never done zip lining before. I came close. I was in line once to take the zip line in Las Vegas, but it was we decided after waiting for 25 minutes and barely seeing the line move at all, we're like, nah, we'll come back and do this. And we never did. But ziplining sounds like fun though. I'm glad you had a nice little time with your aunt and cousin and kids. And good evening, lemon pie. Welcome to tonight's trivia. It's fun to get away. Red River Gorge. Is that where the Red River amphitheater is? I don't know. I'm not familiar with it, but I do remember something about a Red River Gorge amphitheater. Good evening, Cement Shoes. How are you doing today? Any improvement in your health? I hope so. It was so much fun. The zip lining and vacation was so much fun. Good. Bamacat. Good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia, Bamacat. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. It's near Lexington, Kentucky. It's probably not the one with the amphitheater, because the place that I was thinking of is in California. But I think it's called Red Rock, or something like that. Amphitheater. It's an outdoor, music and stage place. No better, no worse. I'm sorry. Well, we're all still pulling for you and praying for you, Smith Shoes, and we hope that your health does improve soon. We're going to give it another 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and then we're going to get tonight's trivia going. Just waiting for everybody to get their notifications, click on it, and hop on in. I know, this hour later than it normally is kind of throwing some people for a loop because they have it on a schedule as 4. And at 4 o'clock, I wasn't here to go live. I was still at a birthday party. So yeah, I either showed up or I was going to be a dead man. So I wanted to live, so I went. Good evening, Gianna Marie. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a great weekend. Glad you could be here with us tonight. One minute left. And then we're going to get this going. So all the questions tonight are on Issei Sagawa. Issei Sagawa is the subject matter for tonight's trivia. Tonight's trivia is the 350th episode of Trivia Night. 349 episodes have been completed. It's hard to believe when you think about it. All right, let's get tonight's trivia going. Like I said, this is the 350th episode of True Crime Trivia. 350th episode. on Issei Sagawa, the cannibal killer. Issei Sagawa. Warning. This trivia night strictly adheres to factual evidence and verified data from the FBI and the Department of Justice. It does not include conspiracy theories, speculation, or unverified claims about what may have happened. If you are seeking sensationalism or content related to similar theories, or lies spread by those who can't be bothered to do the research on a topic, this event and topic may not be right for you. Neither I nor my advertisers or sponsors associated with this content shall be held responsible for individuals under the age of 17 accessing this content. This live stream is restricted on YouTube and at every platform where I can restrict the age in access to it. But nor are we also liable for comments that are left on live chats or messages after the stream is done. These do not necessarily reflect my views or the opinions of those who sponsor this content. And I'm not saying that because of it's unruly on YouTube. It's the other platforms that I stream to. This program documents actual crimes and offenses by criminals. Some of the content covered here may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. And yes, we are covering a cannibal killer tonight. So obviously, if you're squeamish or if you can't take that type of content, I bid you a good day and thank you for stopping in. Question number 1 is now on your screen. In 1981, what was Issei Sagawa doing full time? What was Issei Sagawa doing full time in 1981? Was it A student in Paris, B, President of the U.S., C, a French police officer, or D, a student in Japan? Google ate my comment. Apparently not allowed to make fun of cannibals. Sorry. Smith Shoes, I make fun of cannibals all the time. It's rude of them to take away your comment, though. I don't have notes, but I remember this disgusting guy, says Kitty Q. Ruh-roh. Question number 1. In 1981, what was Issei Sagawa doing full time? Question number 1 of 20. All right, the correct answer to question number 1 is A as in apple. He was a full-time student in Paris. A full-time student. Question number 2. Which one from the list below did Issei Sagawa not do to Dutch student Renee Haverlet? Was it A, have sex with her corpse, B, eat parts of her body, C, dance with her naked corpse, or D, have sex with her while she was alive? Which one did he not do? Question number 2 of 20. Lemon pie. Watching the RuPaul's Drag Race. Smoke them if you got them. Question number 2 of 20. Which one from the list below did Issei Sagawa not due to Dutch student Rene Haverlet. However you pronounce her last name. Like that might be mispronouncing that, but whatever. This guy is worse than Kemper. He definitely has done some pretty disgusting things, Izzy. But I don't know. Kemper definitely killed a lot more people. All right, question number 2. The correct answer is D, as in dog. Have sex with her while she was alive. He did all of the others. A, B, and C, he actually did. He danced with her naked corpse. He ate part of her, and he had sex with her body, her corpse, after he killed her. But he did not have sex with her while she was still alive and able to consent or rape her while she was alive. All of the things that he did to her came after he killed her. Question number 3. After killing Renee, how was Issei Sagawa caught by the police? Was it A, attempting to board an airline with her corpse? B, traffic stop for speeding? C, attempting to dispose of her body? Or D, arrested for stealing Chad Daybell book? Question number 3 of 20. After killing Renee, how was Issei Sagawa caught by the police? Giving her a Jersey Shore DVD collection. Cruel and unusual punishment there. Cement shoes. I'm ready for fasting with Jesus, and we're only on question 2. Question number 3 of 20. After killing Renee, how was Issei caught? The correct answer is C, as in cat. He was caught trying to dispose of her body in a park near a lake. But he was caught trying to dispose of her. Her body, he had cut her up and put her into a suitcase and was probably thinking of throwing her into the lake itself. But he was stopped by the police before he could ever do that. Did you know Issei Sagawa profited greatly from his crimes? This outrage to Haverlet family and citizens in France and in Japan. While in the U.S., special interest groups and their lobbyists were working to undermine the Son of Sam laws. The very first introduction, or where a bill was drafted in the United States Senate to undermine what they're called the Son of Sam laws, but they have actually no bearing on the Son of Sam in Berkowitz. They're just called the Son of Sam laws because of later on it would become popular because of certain things that the Son of Sam that took place in it. But anyways, that's a whole other rabbit hole we don't have time to go down. But anyways, the very first bill that was introduced into the United States Senate to be voted on, it never made it out of committee, but it was drafted by a lobbyist group that wanted to reduce the laws and the punishment for anyone who was trying to profit from their crimes. That was the very first one that was introduced back in the early 80s. And then going forward, they just chipped away slowly here, a little bit here, and then sometimes the states themselves actually introduced and tried to chipped away a little bit more. Now the package they're not actually called if you go to Google it, Son of Sam law, there is no real law that is called the Son of Sam law. It's just what it's called in context. But if you go through it now from beginning to end on how that someone cannot profit from their crimes, the enforcement and regulations and everything else has been pretty much stripped away from it, because if there's a way to make a buck off it, the states is like, hey, why don't we sell the copies of the actual files, and evidence on this case? We can make money on it. Well, they're profiting from the crime, aren't they? Well, if the law had any teeth to it at all, then somebody could go after the state. But they've stripped away the enforcement part of the Son of Sam laws. All right. Next question. Question number 4. What was the ultimate outcome of the murder charges against Issei Sagawa? Was it A fine of 10,000 pounds and then he was deported? B, sent to a mental hospital and then deported? C, 2 life terms and then given citizenship? Or D, forced to watch all episodes of the Jersey Shore? Wearing white after Labor Day. Or trying to pull a Weekend at Bernie's deception. What was the ultimate outcome? Question number 4 of the murder charges against Issei Sagawa. Question number 4 of 20. We got B, 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 and B so far. And guessing that's pretty much it, since there's only 4 people in here and I got 4 answers. So let's just read the answer and go on. The correct answer is B as in boy. He was sent to a state mental hospital in France, where he would spend the next almost close to 2 years before, and then the Japanese consulate petitioned for him to be deported back to Japan because they were holding a non-citizen, against his will in a mental institution. He was not free to leave. So the consulate petitioned for him to be released, and they deported him back to Japan. Question number 5. After being deported back to Japan, Issei Sagawa lived a pretty interesting life. He wrote several books, was on a talk show circuit, and did what else? Was it A, became the prime minister? B, was a school teacher? C, was in a porn movie? Or D, became best friends with Barry Morphew? Question number 5 of 20. After being deported back to Japan, Issei Sagawa lived a pretty interesting life. He wrote several books and was on a talk show circuit and did what else? Forced to live with Pauly Shore. Question number 5 of 20. What else did he do besides write books and do a talk show circuit? Some of the shoes are going with C and a bunch of sick vomiting emojis. Joined as a panel member of The View. Pretty close. I'm not joking, Lemon Pie. The panel of the talk show circuit that he was on had a total of 4 individuals, and every one of them had committed gruesome murders of some form. And they toured all over Japan and to large audiences of people who wanted to hear their stories about the murders and taking the lives of other individuals. He did that for several years afterwards, but he did something else. And what was it? Question number 5, the correct answer is C, as in cat. He was the main actor in a porn movie. So he wrote books, he did the talk show circuit, and he was an adult movie, actor. I don't know how much if an acting you have to do for that, but hey. Question number 6. According to Crime Writers of America, that's people who write books, that are in the true crime genre. They actually have a committee where they actually vote, on author of the year and so on. From 1985 to 1990, this case surrounding Issei Sagawa was voted to be what? Was it A, crime history's strangest case? B, largest legal loophole? C, bizarre crime of decade? Or D, typical French murder case? Question number 6 of 20. According to Crime Writers of America, from 1985 to 1990, the case surrounding Issei Sagawa was voted to be what? We got Kitiku, question mark, B. Lemon Pie and Gianna Marie are both going with B as well. Cement Shoes is going with C. Bizarre crime of the decade, says Cement Shoes. Question number 6 of 20. Lemon Pie is going with E. Most of the Japanese. I'm surprised you didn't go with E, turning Japanese. All right. Question number 6. The correct answer is B, as in boy. Largest legal loophole. And it was a huge issue, not only in Japan, but in other countries. And a lot of laws that are here in America are, still to some fashion, based on the same ideas of what happened in this case legally. Did you know the biggest ethical debate surrounding Sagawa's case is whether the legal system failed by allowing a known cannibal and murderer to walk free, or if the system truly worked the way it was designed to be at that time? Question number 7. How did Issei Sagawa lure Rene Havelet to his Soborn? I think that's the actual name of the town. Soborn apartment. Was it A, pretense of doing translation work? B, pretense of a date? C, pretense of painting a picture of him? Or D, pretense of shooting a porn movie? How did he lure Rene to his Soborn apartment? Good evening, Purple. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a better day today. And thank you for being here with us. How did he lure Rene to his apartment? Question number 7 of 20. Pretense of binge watching the Jersey Shore. Good evening, Inner Peas. I hope you had a great day today, Inner Peas. Thank you for joining us tonight. Binge watching Jersey Shore. Wow. All right. Question number 7. The correct answer is A as in apple. On the pretense of doing translation work, he lured her there underneath the pretense of doing a translation work of poetry from Japanese and to English and other ones, because Renee was fluent in writing and reading of several different languages. And that is how he lured her to the apartment, was the pretext of doing translation work for poetry. Question number 8. When Renee entered Issei Sagawa's home, what was on the dining room table? Was it A, dinner for 2 people, half eaten? B, a bowl of rice and chopsticks? C, a steak and potato without a plate? Or D, a loaded gun? Question number 8 of 20. When Renee entered Issei Sagawa's home, what was on the dining room table? And I'm playing loosely with what you would consider a dining room table. This is an ornamental Japanese table that was in a room that is supposed to be the dining room. So the table is only about 2 feet off the floor, and it has a bunch of pillows and other things around it to sit on. It was very Japanese in the architecture and furnishings in the home, except for the kitchen, and then the where the computer room is I guess you could call it a bowl full of mattress tags. Oh, autographed picture of Whoopi Goldberg. Amway brochures. Question number 8. The correct answer to question number 8 is D as in dog. A loaded handgun was on the table. When she entered, he picked it up and she saw it sitting on the table just as he picked it up, and then he shot her in the neck instantly. All right. Question number 9. What did Issei Sagawa say human flesh tasted like in his many, many speaking engagements? Was it A, tasted like chicken? B, was very fine veal like meat? Or C, tasted like ostrich? Or D, was close to a cheap cut of buffalo? Question number 9 of 20. What did Issei Sagawa say human flesh tasted like in his many, many speaking engagements? Lemon pie, purple, and some shoes are going with B. Kitty Coo is going with B. Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know. Could be B. Maybe. Gianna Marie is going with B as well. Question number 9. The correct answer is B. B as in boy. It tastes like Arby's. Lemon pie. You're always a hoot. It tasted like Arby's. No, he said it tasted like a very fine cut of veal. Guess I'm not eating tomorrow either. Some shoes. I'm sorry. Question number 10 is now on your screen. What part of Renee Havelet's body did Issei Sagawa eat first? Was it A, her breasts, B, her buttocks, C, her upper legs, or D, her hands? What part of Renee's body did Issei Sagawa eat first? Question number 10 of 20. Claudia Bray Flores. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. The poo-poo platter. Mel, good evening. And welcome to tonight's trivia. I'm glad that you and Claudia could both be here tonight for trivia. Welcome. I'm not eating for the rest of the week, says Mel. I'm sorry. Katie Kid is going with B. Lemon Pie is going with D. Gianna Marie is going with A. Purple and Cement Shoes are both going with B. Question number 10 of 20. The correct answer for question 10 is B as in boy. He ate her butt cheeks. He ate both of them. That was the first part of her body that he would eat. He ate little pieces of several sections of her actual body, but he started off with her butt cheeks. It is now our break time. This is when we normally take a break. You have the next 7 minutes to do whatever you need to do. Smoke a bowl, shotgun a beer, drink a fifth of whiskey. I don't care what you do. You do you for the next 7 minutes. During this 7-minute break, I'm going to now go over the 2 cases of missing and endangered people from across the United States. These are active, open missing person cases. I work with the following groups to help bring awareness and shine a spotlight on these cases: the Charlie Project, NAMUS, the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the FBI, and the DOE Network, which starts next month. And that is the one that blue that looks like an eye that's all the way to your right on the bottom of your screen. But we are working to shine a spotlight on these cases because there is either new information that has come in, or these cases can still be solved, even if we don't have a lot of information right now that is being released to the public. With that in mind, the first case for tonight is Timothy Tim Amoff. He was age 24 when he disappeared, and he would be 61 today. Was last seen on January 1st of 1973. He disappeared from the Portland, Oregon area. He is 5'10" to 50 to 160 pounds when he was 24 years of age. Now keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that's how much he weighs today. He could be lighter. He could be heavier. And of course, he would be 61 years of age today. But he has blue eyes, blondish brown hair, and no known tattoos as of the age of the 24. Details of the disappearance of Amoff was last seen known to have been in the Portland, Oregon area around 1973. He may have worked in a garment factory in the past. He has not been heard from since 1973 and had no driver's license on file in 1973. No driver's license listed. Okay? Investigators believe he's probably deceased or has changed his name for whatever reason he wanted to. It wasn't wanted by the police or anything else, but there is very limited information on him. Obviously, you can see, from the description of him, blondish brown hair. He, his height and his approximate weight, 150 to 160 pounds back then. He could be heavier, could be lighter. He's not going to grow anymore, so he's going to still be the same height. If he's around, he most likely is either deceased if he's not around anymore, or he changed his name. If he actually died in 1973 in the Portland, Oregon area, they do not have a death certificate or a John Doe that was listed, for the 6 months prior or 6 months after the date of January 1st, 1973. But again, he may have worked in the garment industry at that time when he disappeared. If you know anything about what happened to Amoff, you can call 503-988-4300. And yes, you can remain anonymous. That is the tip line with the Multnomah County Sheriff's Department. Next case of missing and endangered is Kristen Chrissy Williamson, age 35 as of 2025. The photo you see here is her DMV photograph from her driver's license that is on file. She was last seen on 8/16 of 2022. She vanished from Denham, Louisiana. She is 5'2" in height, 170 to 175 pounds when she disappeared back in 2022. Eye color is bluish green. Hair color, obviously, from the photo you can still see, is brown. No known tattoos or scars. Williamson was last seen getting her mail in the 100 block of Hickory Street in Denham Springs, Louisiana, at midnight on August 16th, 2022. She has never been heard from again, and she may have been driving a beige 2005 Mazda Tribute with the Louisiana license plate number 237ERV. This car has never turned up anywhere in the U.S. underneath a salvage title or a crush title where the vehicle is scrapped. It has never been sold, and it never was positively identified that it crossed the border into Mexico. The vehicle has disappeared as well and has never been seen. The vehicle you see on your screen there is an example of the make and model of the 2005 Mazda Tribune. The Mazda Tribune was also badged as a Ford Escape. It's the exact same car as the Ford Escape, but we were looking for a beige colored 2005 Mazda Tribute is what disappeared. She may have been driving it, or the vehicle is somewhere else and is not on the road. It could be disabled. It could be sitting in a friend's backyard, and she just decided that she was tired of her life. Whatever the circumstances are, her friends and family know that somebody out there knows something about her disappearance, and that they don't believe that she would just willingly walked away. She did not suffer from any type of mental health issue, drug or alcohol issue at all. So they believe if she did disappear, that somebody may have actually, been involved, in forcing the reason why she is not, around. If you know anything about Williamson or her disappearance, or you've seen her vehicle with that license plate, again, 237ERV, you can call the tip line of 225-665-5106. This number, this tip line, is not available to take anonymous tips. You must give them your name and information if you call and leave a tip with this tip line. This is an active open case, and there are several people that have been questioned and talked to about by law enforcement on the disappearance of Williamson. Again, I can't stress this enough. You cannot call that number and leave an anonymous tip. You have to give them your name and information, because this is an active, open investigation. All right. And those are the two missing persons cases with, that are currently out there. Now, I know it says without any further delay, let's get back to our normal programming, but you still have 2 minutes and 40 seconds left of the break. So if you need to use the facilities, shotgun another beer, snort a line, I don't care what you do. You do you. Get out a container of, Vicks Vapor Rub and rub it all over your chest. I don't care. Good evening, Sal. And welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a great weekend. Glad you could be here with us. I'm still up chucking over here, Will. I'm sorry, Mel. I'm sorry. It is pretty disgusting content that we're covering tonight, and I am truly sorry about that. One minute and 30 seconds left. I am doing very well, Sal. Sorry about the late start tonight to trivia. I had a birthday party I had to attend today. Those damn siblings, they don't forget that it's their birthday, and if you don't show up, they're likely to show up at your front door and drag you out into the cold, wet rain or something. I don't know what my sister would have done. I don't want to find out. Got 20 seconds left. And without any further delay, let's get back to our trivia night. Question number 11 is now on your screen. What was the completely insane reason Issei Sagawa decided to eat Renee in the first place? Was it A, to absorb her beauty, B, to absorb her knowledge, C, to absorb her soul, or D, to absorb her power and control? What was the completely insane reason Issei Sagawa decided to eat Renee in the first place? Question number 11 of 20. Mel's got family engagements in a few minutes. Well, I'm sorry about that you have to go, Mel, but thank you for stopping in anyways. Some people are just sickos. Yes, they are. Kitty Q, this is a hard one. Regardless of what is happening in my life, I still like to say hello to you and all my friends. Well, thank you, Mel. I appreciate that. We appreciate you stopping in and saying hello as well. Kitty Q going with B, question mark, question mark, question mark. Ivory Lady. Good evening, Ivory Lady. I'm glad you could be here tonight with us for trivia night on Issei Sagawa, the Cannibal Killer. Ivory Lady and Sal are both going with C, as is lemon pie. And Mel question number 11. The correct answer is actually A. A as in apple. He believed that Renee was the most beautiful woman in the world and that she was the reincarnation of a goddess. That is why he decided to kill her and then eat her to absorb her beauty to make himself more beautiful in the eyes of the world. He was insane, obviously, but that's why he said he decided to kill her and eat her to absorb her beauty. Question number 12. How long did Issei Sagawa stay in the French mental institution before being deported by the request of the Japanese government? Was it A, 5 years almost, B, 15 years, 3 days, 1 hour, and 8 minutes, C, 2 years almost, or D, 6 years, 21 days, 8 hours, and 9 minutes? How long did Issei Sagawa stay in the French mental institution? Question number 12 of 20. Anna Marie and Kirikou are both going with C. How long did Issei spend in the French mental institution? The correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, is C, as in cat. Almost 2 years he spent in the mental hospital before the Japanese government said, no, you are holding our citizen against his will in the mental hospital. You must release him. Deport him back to Japan. All right. Question number 13. What is the award-winning, yes, name of Issei Sagawa's autobiography that sold over 2 million copies in the first year around the world? Was it A, Tastes Like Veal, B, The Morphew Plan, C, In the Fog, or D, Abagaba and Fine Wine? Question number 13 of 20. What is the name of the award-winning autobiography that sold over 2 million copies in the first year around the world? Issei Sagawa, yes, wrote his own autobiography, and the book sold over 2 million copies around the world in its first year. It was his father a very wealthy man? Asks Mel. His entire family were extraordinarily well off. His father and his uncle both had stock at one time in Toyota, and they both had shares. And well, his uncle was one of the original backers of Nintendo. Before video games, Nintendo made magic cards, playing cards, and other board games and like little games and stuff like that for tourists. But yes, very wealthy family. Still didn't change the fact that he decided to do this. That's why he was sent from Japan to France and was a student there in Paris. But very wealthy. And repeat, I'm loving it. Question number 13. The correct answer is C, as in cat. In the Fog is the name of Issei Sagawa's autobiography. In total, before he died, Issei Sagawa wrote 8 books total. There were 2 books that were in a rough draft, so it would have been book number 9 and book number 10, that were never published during his lifetime. That would have been, and it could someday, if somebody was to go through the rough drafts and rewrite them, that they could be released later on, but they have never been released. Book 9 and 10. But he did publish 8 books in his lifetime. And that includes his autobiography. Did you know the system that was in place in Paris in 1981 was designed in a way to not punish the mentally ill? Sagawa was declared legally insane, and the courts couldn't do much of anything besides treat him and then release him. The same thing, the same laws and types of laws just like this are still on the books all across America and North America as a whole. But if someone has been determined to be legally insane, it is cruel and unusual punishment to then punish them even more. He could not aid in his own defense, nor could he understand the ramifications of the actual sentencing in all of the court proceedings in France at that time. So the only thing that they could do was deem him legally insane and send him to a state mental hospital with no release date, in hopes that they were able to, with medication, get him to a point where he could be then brought back to court and tried for the actual crime of murder and cannibalism. But the Japanese government stepped in just before the 2-year mark and said, give us back our citizen. You cannot hold our citizen in a mental hospital against his will. You must release him. Deport him back to Japan. Japan very well could have taken him at that point. Once he got deported and landed back in Japan, they could have stuck him in a mental hospital, but they didn't. That is how Issei Sagawa walked away after committing this murder and never got punished for the crime. Mel says he died in 2022. You are correct, Mel. What restrictions, if any, were placed on Issei Sagawa after he returned home to Japan after being deported? Was it A, house arrest for 30 days? B, no restrictions? C, jail for 10 days? Or D, probation for 2 years? Question number 14 of 20. What restrictions, if any, were placed on Issei Sagawa after he returned home to Japan after being deported? Kitty Q is going with B, question mark, question mark. The Anna Marie and Sal are both going with B. Question number 14 of 20. All right, the correct answer to question number 14 is B, as in boy. Absolutely no restrictions at all. He came home after being deported back to Japan to a massive mob of onlookers who just wanted to see him. There were no pom-poms and confetti or anything else, but people showed up in droves at the airport to actually see him when the plane landed and him walk off of the plane. And the curiosity of him was extraordinary for most of his life. Question number 15. What is the name of the Japanese magazine that did an in-depth feature on the crime of Issei Sagawa he would sign and hand out at events? Was it A, Time Magazine, B, Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, or C, Forbes Magazine, or D, Weekly Friday? Not allowed to delete and eat anyone for 30 days, says Lemon Pie. Question number 15 of 20. What is the name of the magazine that did an in-depth feature on the crimes of and Issei Sagawa? That's funny, Lemon Pie. Not allowed to delete anybody for 30 days. Question number 15 of 20. Mad Magazine. And now I don't know. Happy Cookie. Happy Cookie Magazine. Country Lifestyle. Y'all remember Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Lynch? I think it was the TV show. Excuse me. Question number 15. The correct answer is D, as in dog. Weekly Friday is a magazine that was produced back then in 1981 through, I think they stopped publishing it in the 90s, but it's called Weekly Friday, that actually did an in-depth review of the crime of murder and cannibalism by Issei Sagawa, and it went into a deep dive on him and his family as well in the magazine. It was a pretty good article, but Issei when he went on the speaking tour, circuit, I guess you could call it, because there were a lot of different events that these sickos all went to, and people, these gawkers would pay money to come in and listen to them talk about their murders and and their crimes. But he had bought hundreds of copies of this magazine and would autograph them and then hand them out at events. Weekly Friday is the correct answer to question number 15. Question number 16. Besides being outraged, what was start over here. Question number 16. Besides being outraged that he wasn't sent to prison for his crime of murder and cannibalism, how did the country of Japan react to him coming home? Was it A, they were shocked, B, they were morbidly fascinated, C, completely indifferent, or D, scared? Joe Tallchief, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a great weekend. Question number 16. How was the country towards Issei Sagawa once he came back home to his country? How did they feel about him? Were they shocked, morbidly fascinated, completely indifferent, or scared? Mel says B makes sense to me. Kitty B? Could it be? Emoji. Gianna Marie and Sal are going with B, and so is Ivory Lady. Question number 16. The correct answer is B as in boy. B as in boy. They were morbidly fascinated, but at the same time, they were outraged at the fact that he was even back in their country and a free man. Question. Did you know? So tonight, you should have learned by now, Issei Sagawa was declared legally insane when he committed murder and cannibalism. Did you know, though, there are laws on the books here in America that are close to the same ones in France in 1981 for the legally insane? And give you an example of this. These laws that protect the legally insane, Lori Vallow, during the actual crime, after she was arrested, she was sent away for restorative care before they could try her for the murder of JJ and Ty Lee, her children. So before they could do that, they sent her away for restorative care because she had been deemed mentally incompetent, unable to complete and aid in her own defense. So they sent her away for restorative care. And with the modern medication, she was able to be restored to the point where she could aid in her own defense. And well, that didn't help. But she was found guilty because she did it. Question number 17. After returning to Japan, Issei Sagawa would take part in how many documentaries about his life and crimes? Documentaries, these are actual movies, not like written down, documentaries. Is it A, 8, B, 21, C, 43, D, 9? How many documentaries did Issei Sagawa take part in about his life and his crimes? Looney Lori. Morbidly fascinated but outraged. What a bunch of hooey. Question number 17 of 20. I just looked up and realized that Will wasn't in his little window. Oh no, where was Will? Will should be in his little window. Get it back in your little window, Will. 144,000 says in appease. Question number 17 of 20. Question number 17. The correct answer is A as in apple. He took part in 8 different documentaries that were done during his lifetime. The last one was in 2020, 2 years prior to his death, was the last one that he did, just before his health was starting to take a serious turn for the worst in 2020. They probably chased him around with video cameras. Now, in each and every one of the ones that I've seen snippets of, and you can find a couple of them on YouTube, actually, Mel, he is sitting in a chair. It looks like kind of like a lounge chair. And the other person who is doing the interview is sitting in a chair right next to him. And they're just asking him questions about his life. And he's telling stories about growing up in Japan, and his family and that part of it. And then he goes into the part about his life while he was in Paris going to school and what the stress of that was like. And yeah, but they didn't have to chase him around. He waited for them to come to him for these documentaries. It looks like that from that perspective. You get that feeling. Question number 18. What type of work did Issei Sagawa do for a living after returning to Japan? This is after he was deported back to Japan. What did he do for a living? Was it A, a porn star, B, a police officer in Tokyo, C, a writer, or D, a Subway sandwich shop spokesman? What did Issei Sagawa do for a living after returning to Japan? What did he do for a living? Question number 18 of 20. And good evening, Lita. I'm sorry if I missed you earlier. I hope you had a great weekend, Lita. I'm glad you could be here with us tonight. Question no. Inner peace. I just happened to see that. Oh my gosh. The taste tester. Oh, the correct answer is C. He was a writer and he was fired from just about every one of his jobs. Once people realized who he was and his notoriety, it put too much pressure on each and every company that he worked for. And he was fired. They said, "Look, we're just going to have to let you go. We can't have all this pressure being put on us from the outside from people." So he was a writer for several different, newspapers, and for magazines, and for a writer for a news station, like television station, writing, script, like things for the evening news. But he was a writer. All right. Question number 19. From 2020 to 2022, Issei Sagawa's health had declined and he wasn't able to care for himself. Who had to take care of him? Was it A, the French government, B, the Japanese government, C, the Heartfelt family, or D, his own family? Who had to take care of him when his health finally declined in the last 2 years of his life? Question number 19 of 20. 20, 20, 20, 20. D, his brother. Question number 19 of 20. Melanie Gibb. She probably would take pretty good care of him. Jack Kevorkian. Dr. Death himself, Jack Kevorkian, huh? The suicide doctor. That's good. That's a good one, Inner Peace. All right, the correct answer is his family. D as in dog is the correct answer for question 20. His family had to take care of him. Issei Sagawa had money, but his health had declined to the point where he was pretty much bedridden for at least the last year and a half, or a little bit longer than a year and a half. He was bedridden, and he eventually succumbed to his illnesses in 2022 and passed away. But in the last 2 years of his life, his family had to take care of him. Did you know? Over the years prior to his death, Issei Sagawa often compared himself to none other than Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. He always followed that up with the comparison up with, however, I really ate her. Hopkins is an actor. Over again, he compared himself to Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs, but he always said, I'm like Hannibal Lecter, but the only difference is I ate her and he's an actor. Question number 20 of 20. After being deported back to Japan, how many other crimes did Issei Sagawa commit? Was it A, over 24, B, 3, C, 10, or D, none at all? Question number 20 of 20. After being deported back to Japan, how many other crimes did Issei Sagawa commit? E, Jeffrey Dahmer, if he was living. Jeffrey would have taken care of him. Probably would have turned him into like lunch meat or something. Question number 20. After being deported back to Japan, how many crimes did Issei Sagawa commit? All right, the correct answer to question 20 is he just put pineapple on top of pizza. No, the correct answer is D. From the time that after being deported back to to Japan from France, he never committed another crime that, as far as anyone knows, has ever looked into his case or followed him. And believe me, there were quite a few people who followed his case and him the rest of his life, waiting for him to slip up and do something dumb so they could report it to the police and to the authorities and get him locked up. People hounded him, they followed him. Again, every time he tried to get a job and just live a normal life after that, there was always someone there right behind oh look, something good has happened to me, and then boom, another person was there to hound him, and to the point where they's like, look, we can't let you work here anymore. We're sorry, you have to go. But it didn't matter where he lived. If he moved, somebody always was there to harass the new next apartment, the next house, neighbors next to him. It never let up, and it shouldn't have been. There's no way that the man should ever have been out on the streets. He should have went from the institution in France to Japan, and after being deported back home, and straight into a mental institution, then a state hospital or governmental care facility. He never should have been walking the streets, but he never committed another crime, as far as anyone knows. How did you do tonight on tonight's trivia? This is completely optional to give yourself a letter grade. Some people like to do this, keep track of how many they got correct. A, B, C, D, or everyone is a rock star as far as I'm concerned. Of the 20 questions on tonight's trivia, I knew 14 of them before putting this trivia together on Issei Sagawa. Again, this is completely optional. You don't have to give yourself a letter grade. We are only here for fun and entertainment and educational purposes. We are not exploiting these crimes or criminals, or making light of the victims of these criminals. All up to you and how you foresee it. Sneak peek at next week, tomorrow, actually Monday, is when these poll questions go up on the community tab on YouTube. This is a sneak peek. You do not have to answer this poll now. If you want to, you can, or you can go on the community tab and answer it there and leave a comment as well. But the sneak peek at the poll question for tomorrow is none other than: should the U.S. government make firing squad death penalty illegal as cruel and unusual punishment? A, yes. B, no. C, maybe, depends on the inmate. Or D, no opinion on question. Let's talk about politics. But the question that'll be on the community tab tomorrow is: should the U.S. government make firing squad death penalty illegal as cruel and unusual punishment? Kitty Q had no clue, no notes, and didn't use Google. I've just listened to his story too many times. Yeah. Over the years, I've probably heard about the Issei Sagawa's crimes, Kitty Q. I've maybe 24, 25 times. It's just I've come across a story or videos or the documentaries or something in some capacity. I've come across it. That's a hard no, says Cement Shoes to the poll question. Gianna Marie is going with no as well. There are quite a few states that are bringing back the death penalty and method of firing squad because they cannot they will not ever get a verifiable source of phenobarbital. One of the drugs that is, I think it's actually 2 or 3 drugs. I'm not 100% sure on this, but they cannot get the phenobarbital as part of the lethal injection. So they either have to bring back the firing squad, hangings, the electric chair, or nitrogen gas chamber is the newest one that they're playing with. And one inmate has already been executed by nitrogen gas. I believe it was in Louisiana, but I'm not 100% sure. It might have been Texas. It's one of those 2 states because they love to use the death penalty in each of those. But either way, they want to get the firing squad outlawed because they say it's these groups out there say that it's cruel and unusual punishment because if the marksman is off, there is a delay between the time that the inmate is shot and the actual inmate's death, and that it could be a grueling way to die. In case you don't know how the firing squad works, depending upon what state it's in, they have usually 6 different gunmen who are marksmen who are trained to take a shot. Only one of the rifles has live rounds in it. All the others have blank rounds in them. So they all go boom, boom, but only one of them is real. So no one knows if they're shooting live ammo or if they're shooting a dummy round. So nobody knows who's the actual person who actually shot and killed the person. So 6 is the max. I think I've heard of one state. I think it was Utah that actually only used 3, but that you can guarantee it's more than one individual. It's got to be at least 2. But I unfortunately heard about him in the 90s. One of the most humane ways, I don't know, but to each their own. If I look at it this way, when it comes to the death penalty, if it's hanging, if it's the electric chair, if it's firing squad, lethal injection, you're going to die. You've already been condemned to die. The governor of the state that you're in, or the U.S. federal government, has not stayed your execution, meaning that they have not put it on hold for anything. It doesn't matter how you're going to die. By the end of it, you're going to be dead and in a coffin. You're not walking out of that prison alive. So why does it matter if it's cruel and unusual punishment? All right, firing squad. How long does the individual last? Maybe one breath after they've been shot, because they're not shooting them in the chest, they're shooting them in the head, from a distance, and the inmate doesn't know who actually shot him. It's not like they can say, "Oh, hey Bob, are you taking the shot?" Okay, and then the rest of you are just standing there. All right, they don't know. They don't see the person, so they take one breath. Yeah, that maybe they have a little bit of pain for that, that couple of seconds before they die. Is it cruel? I mean, they obviously murdered or did something horrible to be in that situation in the first place. If you don't want to be punished or have something cruel happen to you, here's an idea: don't kill people. So that's just my take on it. But people will complain about anything. If you haven't learned anything about the internet, There are people out there who will complain about anything and for any reason at all. They need to go back to dungeons of the Inquisition for his punishment. No one suspects the Inquisition. That's a reference from Monty Python. No one expects the Inquisition. Oh, I don't know about everybody else in there, who has kiddos at home, but mine's on spring break for the next 7 days. So it's just going to be me and my son at home doing whatever we want. Today he made giant mud puddles in my backyard. Yay! He wanted to play with the water, so I was like, all right. Then I looked over and he had taken the hose and stuck it straight into the ground and was like blah, 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 making a giant mud hole in the middle of my backyard. Too Much Blood was the song from the Rolling Stones in 1983 about Izzy. I did not know that, Kitty Coo. I did not know I knew about the song, but I didn't know if that was a reference about Issei Sagawa. Joe Tallchief, I'm child free. Yeah. Kitty Coos are on spring break as well. My spring break isn't until the end of the month. But yeah, so me and my son are gonna be home. Wife has obviously she's gonna be here. She has to work, and then after work she don't get home until around 6 o'clock at night. And my son always wakes up at 7 a.m. So between 7 and 6, it's just going to be the two of us. And we're going to do some fun things. We're going to go to like the park, and I'm gonna try, cross my fingers, knock on wood. I'm going to try, to get him to go to a science museum with me. They have a lot of interactive things that he can do at the science museum, and we have a pretty good science museum. Hopefully he'll enjoy that. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of noise there, and he has a lot of issues with being overstimulated by sounds and lights and stuff like that. So we're going to see how it goes. But almost all my friends have kids. Louise, good evening from cold Michigan. Ugh. That's where Michigan. Michigan is where Steve Leto. He's an actual attorney. Sorry, I had a brain fart there for a second. But Steve Leto, he's a YouTuber, but he's also he's a lemon law attorney, but he's an author as well. And he wrote this book. American Murder Houses. This is by Penguin Press. And he signed it to me. But he's a YouTuber, but he doesn't. His YouTube channel is just interesting legal questions and stories that he finds on the internet. But he's also an author. He's written books about murder houses, and obviously, because that's the book right there. He's done about the Turban car that and his brother and Jay Leno, that are involved. And Jay Leno actually owns a Turban car. But he's written books about several different subjects. I've got 2 copies of this book. This one is signed, so I've never, spine's not cracked on this one. But he's from Michigan. He's near the Detroit area. I guess it'd be, I don't know what suburb he is or what city he is, but he's close to it. It's a pretty interesting book, though. I've read the other copy I have in the house. There are places in the United States of America where violent acts of bloodshed have occurred. Years may have passed, even centuries, but the mark of death remains as they are known as the murder houses. You can pick up the book on Amazon. I think it's like $11 or $15, somewhere in there, with Prime shipping if you have Prime. But it's a pretty good book. Rainstorm just came through here where you are in Michigan. Oh. And Louise is 30 miles south north of Detroit. Oh. We had some rain, not Saturday, not yesterday, but Friday. I wouldn't say that we got even a quarter of an inch. I mean, it wasn't much. I mean, maybe like a 16th of an inch of rain. I live in what's called the climate zone that I live in is a semi-desert or a high plateau. People use the term both, to describe this area. It's a desert, as in everything you'd find in a desert is here, except for like the tall cactus, like the saguaros. We don't have any of those here. We have smaller cactuses, but not, those like the tall cactuses like you would find in New Mexico, Texas. We don't have those here. We have 3 things that we import here: dirt, dirt, and dirt, and more dirt. Yeah, and I know I said 3. Oh, and tumbleweeds. Oh my God, the tumbleweeds. You had a tornado last week. Did some damage, but no injuries. You hate them. Growing up, Sal, when I lived in Wisconsin, I guaranteed that I believed that all of the trees made an arrow and pointed towards my house. I was convinced that one of these days a tornado was going to get me, like in the movie like Twister. It happens so frequently, you just get used to it. Everyone's got a fallout shelter, storm shelter, built on their property. We have one on the farm as well. Plus that we know if we're on the opposite end of the farm, we have other places where we can, take cover in case they came through. We lost one house to a twister. I mean, of course, that was that in Minnesota? I can't remember. I was just a little kid, but I didn't live there at the time. But only one house that we owned it was ever destroyed by a twister or tornado. What state are you in? I'm in Washington State now, Louise. Born and raised in Wisconsin. Lived most of my life either in Minnesota or Wisconsin. And in 1981, after my father passed away, my mother she got a job with the DOE, which is Department of Energy, and we flip flopped back and forth between the the nuclear sites out here in Washington State, and then back to Minnesota to and then back and forth and back and forth. You never knew how long you were going to be here because she didn't work for a contractor. She actually worked for the Department of Energy itself as a compliance regulator, making sure other companies followed the rules. So we'd be here for 6 months, and then she'd pack us all up and move back, and then we moved back, and then we kept on going back and forth like a game of ping pong. That in my senior year of high school, I actually attended and graduated from two different high schools, one in Minnesota and one here in Washington State, a week apart from each other. I wasn't there in Minnesota to graduate, but I do have in my house, in a folder in the desk, I have my diploma from two different high schools. Where you live, Joe Tall Chief, the area down by the little house on the prairie is a tornado alley. I've been down there to that part of Minnesota. Was it hard for you moving around? Oh, hell yeah, it was. Yes, Sal, we have cactuses here. We just don't we don't get like the tall saguaro cactuses like you see, in like Wagon Train or on one of those TV shows. We have cactuses, but they're only about 2 feet tall. Yeah, and a lot of sagebrush because on one side of us is the Rocky Mountains, and on the other side of us is the Cascades, and we're in a valley down below, in the like a plateau area. The weather system comes up over the Cascades and never gets a chance to drop down in the valley. So it goes up, and then it comes down over the other side of the Rockies. It's a very unique, area. Redwood Falls, Minnesota. That's exactly where I live, Joe Tall Chief. Tri-Cities, Washington. I don't live by it. I live in it. But yeah, there are a lot of transplants here from Minnesota, though. A lot. I remember that one of the first times when we first moved here, it was like the early '80s, and when we first moved here, my mom went to work, one day, and she came home. She's like, "Hey, I met like 12 people, who are all from Minnesota." We're like, "Cool." Um, and growing up in a government town like this place was so wild compared to anywhere else that is probably out there. Because the government controlled everything back then. Where you lived, if you got power, electricity, if you got a home phone, where you went grocery wise, how you got paid, what banks you used, they controlled every aspect of this place. It wasn't until the late '90s, early 2000s that they finally started to withdraw their control over everything here. Ariel Castro, Cement Shoes. I do believe you already have him on here, but let me check just in case. If not, I will definitely write him down. the Ezra McAndress, O.J. Simpson, Jack Underweger, the Speedway murders in Indiana. You do not. You don't have Israel Castro, but you do now, Cement Shoes. I think Israel Castro would have been a very interesting trivia night. Cement Shoes suggestion. Tanaski, Washington is the strangest place I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever been there, Joe Tall Chief. Sylvia Brown's involvement in the Ariel Castro crimes makes me mad. There's some things that she's done that I don't particularly care for. We'll just say that. But I'm not familiar with her involvement in the Ariel Castro. But I still think it'd be a great trivia subject. I think people would enjoy. Heaven's Gate cult. Yeah, the only problem with that one, Cement Shoes, and I'm going to be honest with you, is with the Heaven's Gate cult and Applegate, Applewhite, whatever the hell his real name was, because there's a lot of dispute online if within communities what his real name was and who he was really. But anyways, the Heaven's Gate cult, there's not a whole lot of material to go with there. Because every one of them are dead. We could talk about their bizarre choice of clothing and what the different clothing meant. But wasn't Sylvia Brown a fake psychic, or did she die and come back? It has the weirdest little mountains. When I was in high school and I lived here, that was probably right around the time that they had the TV show Northern Exposure. Me and my friends, we used to always go camping as a group every June and July. We didn't go for the whole month, but we'd go for a weekend or a week, go camping. And we used to go camping outside of this place called Salmon La Sac. And we went there every year camping. And then the TV show, The Diary of Laura Palmer hit. It was on TV, and then Northern Exposure around that time frame. And I mean, eventually all the damn places got overrun. So then we moved on to Roslyn. And that is where, if you walk down the streets of Roslyn, Washington right now, it looks just like the TV show from Northern Exposure. There's a doctor's office at the, Fleischman's, doctor's office of Dr. Fleischman from the show. They've embraced it, but the show wasn't, there was only a few little outtakes of the show that were ever filmed there, and the rest of it was done on a studio lot. But it's an interesting place, though. And it looks just like the television show if you ever watched Northern Exposure. The Kehoe brothers, they actually knew Israel Keys. Kehoe. I'll put them down on here, the Kehoe brothers. You like Northern Exposure? It's a pretty good show. But yeah, the Roslyn though, you can't touch property there. Now that there's an off ramp, off of I-90, or yeah, it's got to be I-90. There's an actual off ramp off the freeway to Roslyn now, and the property values there soared so high. Most of the locals who live there can't even afford to be there anymore, so they all moved out. Because especially then, I don't know if the property values are as insane as they are now, as they were then, but I'm guessing they have been. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up tonight's trivia there, here. I want to thank everyone again. Before, we close this out for tonight, if you would take time and hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed tonight's trivia, I really would appreciate it. If you're watching this afterwards, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you didn't like the content. But anyways, everyone, thank you very much for being here, and you have a terrific week ahead. And stay safe out there. And as Purple says, you never know who's going to be standing next to you next, nor do you know who's going to be knocking at your door. In the meantime, everyone, have a great week. Bye.